Hello and welcome to TelecomTV's exclusive coverage of the SDN and OpenFlow World Congress here in Dusseldorf in Germany. I'm talking with Jerome Tollet, who is a CTO and co-founder of Cosmos. Jerome, welcome. Thanks for talking to us. I'd like to ask you about the role of applications in NFV and SDN. In that sort of an environment, application awareness is going to be very important. How do you achieve that?
Yeah, I think it's something which is becoming more and more important in NFV and in open standards in general. What we see is that today there is a need for better classification of the traffic on this cloud-based infrastructure. And if you have a look at technologies such as service function chaining, both for virtual CPE, for GI LAN, you really want to process different traffic in different ways. And application awareness is absolutely key to do that. Now, in order to enable that, you need to have flow classification being done at the data plane level, but the control plane and management plane have to be modified as well to take that into account. So that's something which is happening right now with all the emerging standards in the industry.
We've seen an enormous number of protocols being written and developed around SDN. Originally it was going to be just a one protocol which would fit everything, but life's not like that and many more have been developed. Do you think that militates against the success of SDN in the long term because there are just so many standards, as it were?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, and we see a lot of new protocols, NSH, OpenFlow, and so many others. But on top of these protocols, we see also a lot of APIs that have to be application aware. Just again, if we take this example of service function chaining, right? Open Daylight is a great project, and inside this project there is another project called Service Function Chaining as the SFC project within Open Daylight, and we had to work on how we make these APIs application aware. So that's absolutely right. We see a lot of protocols, a lot of APIs being application aware, and I think this is absolutely key to make that a success.
What about security? Security in the network, security within SDN and NFV itself, always been a bit of a bugbear. Is it now close to being sorted out and settled?
That's a very good point. I think if you have a look at OpenStack today, there are some technologies such as security groups that are used to enable micro-segmentation, but really this is only based on layer 3, layer 4 criteria, which is definitely not enough today. And all the technologies that are now deployed in perimeter technology, perimeter firewalls, should now be available in virtual environment for NFV, for SDN, for cloud in general. And I see a big role of layer 7 awareness for security, for micro-segmentation, for layer 7 visibility, for east-west communication. So security have a vital need for a better application awareness as well.
What about SDN NFV in the enterprise? We've seen with the fact there are so many protocols we've just been discussing that you're now hearing that some corporates are a bit concerned because they're not sure which way to jump. They say, well, if that's a standard and that's standard, are we going to make the right decision? So what effect do you think that sort of uncertainty is having on the enterprise, and how is SDN and NFV actually moving into that space?
So if we have a look at OpenStack and these technologies, really it's really complex. It's yet not completely mature, to be honest, and it will certainly take a lot of time before having these technologies being deployed in small enterprise. However, for large enterprise, having solid teams and large teams being able to operate that, I think the ROI can be proven quite quickly, and there is more and more deployment arriving nowadays. So depending on the size of the company, it will be either slowing down or people are already able to deploy that.
Thank you. Final question to you, which is about, do you think it's likely, given the speed of evolution of NFV and how NFV now seems to be the tail wagging the dog as it were, as far as SDN is concerned. Do you think that SDN will eventually be subsumed totally into NFV?
Yeah, so I think there are some very important evolution in the definition of SDN itself. At the beginning, it was really open flow and how you can drive standard equipments with standard protocols. Nowadays, it's really different. If you take this example of HP Open Switch initiative where Cosmos is involved, it's something completely different. It's all about how you have a standard Linux in a switch, right? So that's SDN, but with a very different definition with compared to what was SDN at the beginning. So, or at least in the implementation of SDN. So. SDN will be a completely part of NFV, but it will probably a very different SDN from what we were thinking at the beginning. And clearly, OpenSwitch is a good example of that.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed, Jerome Tollet.
Thank you.